Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age. This is a show where we talk about everything nerdy. My name is Mick. With me as always are my co-hosts, Josh.
What's up?
Corey.
Yes.
And Jonah.
Heyo.
Welcome back to the show, guys. We're going to jump right into some Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2 spoiler talk.
That's so weird.
I don't hit the mic. I was like,
Yeah, dude.
there.
Nailed it. So everybody here but Jonah has seen the movie. If you couldn't tell.
So you won't be hearing much from me.
Yeah. So
it'll be briefer.
yes, with Jonah's permission, we're gonna spoil it.
Yes.
Okay.
You sure about that, man?
I've already seen some stuff on the old TikTok.
Okay.
All right. New way to watch movies. So yeah, we're gonna jump right in. So spoiler alert: if you haven't watched the movie, there you go. You were warned.
You've been warned.
You've been warned.
Yeah. So we have this new movie. We have Chadwick Boseman. He's obviously passed. And this movie was basically, I mean, a lot of it was kind of an homage to him and like a lot of moments, and it was super like nostalgic, and it was really cool how they honored him.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about that aspect of it? Did it feel like it was too much? Was it not enough? Was it good?
Go ahead.
I think for me, it was the best part of the movie was that I think like the homage side of it. That's the stuff dealing with Chadwick Boseman's passing and Black Panther's passing. I think is where the movie is the strongest. I thought it was really cool. The Marvel intro was all Black Panther stuff, and it was all quiet. It was really cool.
I love that.
That was really well done. And then I like how they just went straight into it. It's like, we don't have to mess around. Like everyone knows what happened.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been a bad idea to be like, let's set some stuff up and then we're going to explain like, oh, did he die doing something else? Or like, did somebody kill him? You know what I mean? They're just like, let's get straight to the point. Black Panther's dead and this is the people grieving. I thought that was really cool. And visually it was really cool too. Like the ritual that they had, which you've seen in the trailers if you've seen the trailers. So I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think anytime the movie brought itself back to dealing with going on from his passing, the character and the actor, I agree. I think that was definitely the best part of the movie. You got the most like emotion from especially Shuri as she's dealing with the loss of her brother. It just, as far as emotional characters goes and the impact of her acting, it was really, really good. Definitely the best parts of the movie, for sure.
Question. So, since you guys are going to spoil it for me anyways, so they don't explain like how he dies in universe. It's just kind of like in
the movie, and I actually think it's smart because they basically say that he's dying of some illness that it's natural. It's not like he, died in battle or anything. So they kind of tie it to Chadwick Boseman.
Right. It's paralleled basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the movie starts with them frantically trying to find a cure. Shuri, is it Shuri?
Yeah.
Okay. She's like one of the smartest people in the MCU, and she fails to find a way to save her.
Yeah.
brother.
Is he in it at all? No.
There's some flashback stuff,
like to older stuff, but not like
not anything like
nothing new shot. No.
Okay. No.
It was interesting because they used that. It was very quick, by the way, super brief. It was basically just like they did this like honoring in the beginning, like Marvel animation, and then they bust into the hecticness of like, oh, he's like really struggling. Like, oh, what's the success rate of this? Oh, like 28%. She's like, oh, okay, I got to do this and then do this, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what's his vitals? And then and then her mom comes out and is like, he's gone. And so it was kind of an interesting way to kind of like introduce kind of Shuri's main thing, which is how to bring back Black Panther and the flower or whatever that gives that what's it called? The heart-shaped or whatever flower. Yeah. And so she was trying to synthesize basically a new one, basically. And so that's what they were talking about. She was trying to save him by just giving him that herb and maybe it can bring him back. But
because I think then the last one they all got burned, right?
Right, Killmonger burned them all.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to kind of they instantly started tying like story beats into each other from like frame one, basically. So I thought that was a highlight of the movie for me, is how they kind of started like weaving in like story beats. And so that was one of them that pays off later, obviously. But yeah, we got introduced to a lot of new characters. They introduced the kid, which is Ironheart, right? Or what's her real name?
Riri Williams, I think is the character's name. So she's the one in the comics, the successor to the
MIT genius girl. And then they also like are tying into what's the other
Armor Wars?
Yeah, is that what it's called? Armor Wars?
Yeah, so Ironheart
is its own.
I think.
And then Armor Wars is going to be the Armor Wars is going to be the Don Cheadle one.
Yeah, Ironheart is a show. Armor Wars.
What's the Flash? No, what are they called? Not the Flashes. What are they called? The one with Louis Dreyfus. Whatever.
Oh, Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So she was in this a little bit too.
Is that the worst part of the movie? I would assume.
For me,
she's not great. She's
Well, I think the Thunderbolts for me are lame.
Well, it was bad too because like all of her scenes and Ross, the Martin Freeman character, he comes back too. But all of their scenes, they really didn't add to anything. Like you could take them out of the movie and
the plot would have been exactly the same.
They really did not do. They were so
all it did was make USA the bad guy.
Yeah,
it was. They were so just such passive characters that it was just like, why? Like there's no reason.
Yeah.
And that's always a shame.
I think that's my biggest complaint about the movie is that I feel like those characters it seemed like they were in a completely different movie. Just like tone wise, they were just like all over the place. I'm not a huge fan of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. She's just like, she seems like I love Elaine. If Elaine was in this, I'd be down, but it's like, she's just kind of like a goofy character and she just doesn't seem like she fits. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like she's got like the purple, I don't know. It just seems like she's from Hunger Games. Like, you know what I mean?
For sure.
It just feels weird.
That makes sense. Actually,
and they're kind of jokey. So for me, that was like the least like interesting part.
He was serious. She was like,
and I like him as a character, but just pairing him with her. Yeah. They're obviously setting up the Thunderbolts and Secret Invasion.
Is that what it was? Then those scenes with them is like kind of like setting up Phase 5, basically, or what's coming forward.
That's kind of what it seemed like,
and it felt like that's the setup, and then the stuff that Black Panther's dealing with is like a different movie.
They had a minimal part to play. They were like, oh, there's this machine that finds vibranium, and so they're like, that's basically the MacGuffin of the movie. Is that's what causes the Namor and his people to like come to the surface? Basically, they're like, they can find vibranium, and they've found it somewhere else outside of Wakanda. And so then they tie this machine back to the person that built it, and that's kind of what gets the movie started. Yeah. And so literally the role is like for Agent Ross, he's like, oh, I can tell you who this girl is, and you can get to her before the U.S. government does, or Namor and his people. Yeah. And then that's literally all the role he has to play. He like shows up a little bit later, and they just basically talk about like, what's the U.S. government doing with this stuff?
Right.
Should they be able to have all the vibranium and they're the bad guy? You know what I mean? It was just very like...
Well, and it almost seemed like it was like teasing like, oh, he's going to do something. Like he's going to jump in at some point and do something. And it just never happened.
Yeah, it just didn't. So, yeah. With the introduction of Namor, what did you guys think about him and his people and that kind of storyline?
I thought the introduction of them was really well done. It was very creepy.
Yeah.
It's hard not to compare it to a lot of the stuff in Aquaman, but they took a lot more of like an almost horror aspect to these characters. And when they're introduced, it's basically them just slaughtering this whole ship of, I guess, scientists or some type of U.S. military, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely creepy for sure.
Black Panther 2 is a horror movie, confirmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It was pretty cool.
Blu-ray Angel confirmed.
Yeah. They have like, they maybe show it one other time, but they have like almost like, I call it like a siren ability. They like start singing and then people just start jumping off the
kind of
jumping
like
off the thing.
Happening.
It is kind of like the happening. But that was pretty cool.
Kill you?
Yeah.
Are his feet wings better in the movie than they are in the trailers?
They are not.
It did not work for me.
When he's moving fast, it's fine. But there's a couple scenes where he's like floating, and it's like,
And you hear,
I think the sound design doesn't help because it is literally like
it should have been like a
a electric guitar or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Make something bad here. You know what I'm saying? Instead, it's just like, yeah. It's one of those like design choices that I'm like,
Maybe
how do you make it cool?
Or just don't.
Similar to, I mean, I feel the same with Harry Potter and wands. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Mick. I don't think wands are very cool looking.
They're not cool. Yeah.
even the way Voldemort holds it.
So it's like it doesn't look cool to me. So I feel like him with the feet wings was kind of like
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
he's moving. Like I said, when he's moving fast, I don't really think about it. But
That's when it worked. But yeah,
when he's floating, it's just kind of like,
and it's such a like integral part of his design that you can't not have it.
they should have given him like rocket shoes or something.
Yeah,
That'd be way cool.
and sound like
Yeah. But yeah, I think that
Yeah, I love that.
I think the background of Namor and his people and stuff was a cool. I enjoyed seeing their culture and like they really kind of like mirror the Wakandan culture in a lot of ways. Like they purposely go out of their way to show that these two cultures aren't that different. They're basically in the same situation. They both have vibranium.
that really is what kind of draws them together.
Right. And I mean, visually it looks awesome.
I will say though, I was a little, again, you can't help it, but compared to Aquaman was so like vibrant and like glowy and like bright. There was just, maybe they were just trying to go for something else, which is fine, but it was very much like muted and it felt more like, oh, this is underwater. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, on like it's just a realistic stance.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
it's a different
representation
thing.
makes way more sense.
It's just, I definitely enjoyed the Aquaman one more. It just looked way
Especially
visually
the
cool.
octopus playing the drums.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best part of Aquaman.
Needed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I liked that world. That was cool. And then they kind of explained why there is light there by having the vibranium sun,
Yeah.
whatever it was, that he made or whatever. So that was cool. I mean, all that looked awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was interesting to kind of have their conversations between Shuri and the leader. What'd you say, Namor?
Yeah.
Neymar. I keep hearing Neymar. And so that was cool to kind of see like how they interact with each other and kind of how he made a believable argument on why they actually should fight or, you know, why they shouldn't. But I think I bought that. A lot of the times I don't buy those little like, here's a reason why we should fight. And I'm like, it's kind of lame. But yeah, I liked it. It was cool. I liked the story of his mother and kind of like how like their explanation on how they became to be and kind of this is like, I don't know if this is first of few on introducing mutants. Him actually saying the word mutant. I am a mutant. So straight up. So that was interesting. I was like, oh, well, there you go. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they didn't play that, unfortunately.
That's what they need to do. Every time someone says mutant in the Marvel universe, that's a little.
That would make it better.
Who's the? Sorry to jump in, but I can't help but talk. There has to be like another villain, right? Because I mean,
Why?
just because I feel like you're introducing these guys that like Namor and all that kind of stuff. I feel like just from the trailers and what you guys are talking about, that there's like, we have so much in common, right? So he can't be truly the bad guy, right? Was there another villain?
Did we not tell you that Magneto comes in this movie? He's the bad guy.
I feel like the movie was gonna like set up them like facing the rest of the world because the rest of the world is now like really wanting vibranium, but that kind of didn't really go anywhere. There was something with that in the beginning of the movie, but it didn't really like continue at all. So it was really basically Namor, and it's not even the Atlanteans. They don't have the rights to that.
Yeah.
So I can't
They're
remember.
the Tlakalans.
Yeah, something.
That's really their name?
Yeah.
Like Collins?
Something.
Yeah,
else.
something like that.
Well, I mean,
right? I'll look it up.
I mean, the story was more than just, oh, hey, you have vibranium. Like, hey, bro, like, don't tell anyone. It was more
keep it safe.
Shuri. So also, big spoilers, but her mom also dies, and so basically she's all alone. And so I know it sounds cheesy, but maybe the enemy was basically herself in a way, like trying to overcome, revenge and being kind of a Killmonger type, where she's just hell bent on avenging the deaths of her mom and brother. But so I think that was kind of the weaker thing for me. Was the conflict, because I was like, okay, like I get it, they're fighting, and then in the end, basically she lets him go because she rose above and kind of reflected on that. And so it's like, so by the end of this, the only thing that didn't like figure itself out was the fact that we hate United States. For me, that's what I came along with it. I was like, so they're cool, awesome. They have an understanding.
I mean,
now.
the French were bad in this one too. You know what I'm saying? They were like, whoa, what?
Yeah. But then it's like USA sucks because they're like so greedy
And they want the vibranium.
They want the vibranium, and they're going to kill everyone if they, to get it. And it's like, oh,
I mean,
no.
That's the story. Is like, they're bringing in the Wakandan culture. They're bringing in Mexican culture with the Mayans and like basically being oppressed and colonized, that kind of stuff. So those are themes that are running through. But yeah, I do agree that the resolution was. I mean, Namor was legitimately, I'll say, the villain. Yeah, I think he had a legitimate. I bought his reasoning behind it, 100%. And the conflict I bought. I think the resolution was fine with me. I don't think they needed, aside from like spectacle wise, I don't think they needed that big battle at the end.
Yeah, no.
Because it was just like they could have just have Namor and Shuri fight it out on their own and then have the resolution be fine, because they resolve the issue and then they come back and it's like, hey, we're good now. Wakanda Forever. And they're like, Wakanda Forever. Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how we're going to end it.
Yeah, just so you know, they did kill most of your army and all your friends are dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wakanda Forever,
right.
dogs.
So it did seem...
right? They wiped the floor with Wakanda.
Yeah, they wrecked them.
I mean, they're also on the seas.
Yeah.
And on, they have all these, they're riding literal whales and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looked cool.
But it looked cool. But yeah,
I do like the story. I think
wrecked them.
And then they're friends at the end. And at the end of the picture,
they're
friends.
I think what I like about this movie is, I think I already said it's a good like story about grief and dealing with grief. I think that's the strongest, is when you're going through Shuri and she's a scientist first and foremost, and she's struggling with basically having faith, because her mom has the same thing. She's like, your brother's not dead, he's still around you. You just have to settle down and think about it, think about the ancestral plane, that kind of stuff. But she's still hyper focused on the tangible, what she can do, what she can fix, science. So it's an interesting, that's what I really liked about that movie. Just that kind of storyline. I thought it was cool. So she's becomes the new Black Panther. She uses some of the
a bracelet.
Yeah, a bracelet from Namor that they basically is what they ate when they became whatever it is they are, mutants.
Not Atlanteans.
So she uses that to synthesize a new herb, and so she takes it, and when she goes to the ancestral plane, she actually meets Killmonger there, which is pretty interesting. So that sets up the whole. He's like, you got to kill them all because they're not going to have. You need to protect your people, and basically he's just espousing what his beliefs were in the first movie, and so it's an interesting. I think turn on it, because I was expecting like, oh, it's going to be Chadwick Boseman, or her mom is going to talk to her. So she kind of goes down that path of revenge. I'm going to kill Namor because of that. And in the end, it's like she does have a moment with, I think her mom is like, show him who you really are, because she's really like messing him up. And then she ends up, basically forgiving him, which is kind of like her coming full circle. So I really enjoyed that overall.
Yeah, because it also mirrors what happens in Civil War with Chadwick Boseman, his Black Panther, where he comes to the point where he's like forgiving and throws away the whole revenge.
Yeah,
which is cool.
I saw people were complaining about that. They're like, "Oh, Ryan Coogler mailed it in. He just like rehashed the story," and I'm like, "No, it's a parallel.
Yeah,
it's parallel stories of siblings.
Poetry. It rhymes.
It's poetry. It rhymes. But yeah, I thought it was overall that was a really strong, like encompassing story. I really enjoyed the way they told it.
Yeah, again, anything that drew back to dealing with his passing, I think was really well done.
Yeah.
Definitely the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, I will say the Ironheart stuff, Riri Williams stuff, I was like, it just seemed like they just shoehorned her in there.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, oh, here's someone we need to introduce. And here she is.
I don't know about her character.
Yeah.
She just didn't really win me over. Like, I don't know. Like, the type of character they made her, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But, yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. It seemed like pretty generic. I'm a teenage character in a strange situation. Like, what? You're going to leave me alone here? What? You know, that kind of stuff. A lot of that, like, this is a crazy situation I found myself in.
Yeah.
That really felt like a rehash of like everything they did with Spider-Man when they brought him into the MCU. It didn't feel new or fresh at all. It really just felt like you're saying, just, I'm a kid in a big world. Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
And then it seemed like they tried to give her, like, at the end battle, she's like, this is for the queen. I was like, I have no... I didn't see any type of growth for you to be like, wow, this is Wakanda.
Yeah.
I feel connected to this. I think that's probably a missed opportunity that they were like, probably should have felt that she like felt connected to the Wakandans and to the queen. But at the end, I was just like, did you even notice that?
That's one of the things. That's one of the things I saw on the spoilers that I saw was they were complaining about how bad Ironheart looked. The CGI, was it that bad? That's what I saw.
I don't think the CGI.
They're like, it looks like Power Rangers.
I mean, I think it was more the design.
The design, probably. The CGI is fine. The design is definitely a different type of design. It doesn't look like an Iron Man suit, which that's probably what they were trying to do. And technically, I mean, I'm sure her suits will look more like Iron Man's later because she's just like, oh, I got to leave it here in Wakanda. I can't take it. So I think it's like, you could kind of tell it had probably some anime influence to it. I wasn't a huge fan of the design. It was just kind of like, okay, maybe if I liked the character more, I would have been like, that's a cool suit that she's in. But I was just kind of like, it doesn't feel earned to me.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do was play this like, because you have to try to link the design to the character.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you really have to go off of? And I think they only did it that way because of her car.
Yeah.
That's why they did the smooth red. But it's like, I don't know, the car that they had was more boxy.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was a Challenger or what it was, or Mustang. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wish it was a more boxy design personally, but at the same time, she's doing it there in Wakanda and all their designs are super like rounded. So I don't know. It's kind of tough, but she made a face like eyeballs on her.
Yeah.
Like almost like, that's what looked the most like Power Ranger was the mask.
Yeah.
I had the same thought where I was like, it looks a little, but she's also really young. So it makes sense that like the design isn't like bad A, it's more younger, a youthful kind of take on it. But
another person said it was like Big Hero 6, you know how his suit is?
He kind of,
is it that kind of?
That's actually a pretty good,
yeah, more kid style.
Yeah.
It's a kid show. So yeah, for sure. Made by a kid. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I didn't dislike it. The one I did dislike, as I looked at it closer and closer, was the Wakandan suits.
The night Watchers.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they were called.
And I hated how much they kept taking their mask off. They kept taking their mask off, and I was like, every time they talked, it's like,
that's one of those examples that you have to have some change from comic book to live action, because those, I mean, that's what they look like in the comics. But it just doesn't really translate that well. It just didn't look that.
You should have had the Green Goblin, where you see the mouth moving in behind the mesh.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the. I thought the design was fine.
The silhouette's cool.
You're right. It was very like. Oh, they always had to pop off the mask to talk. It's like Venom in Spider-Man 3, where you're like, "That's cool design," and it's like, "Hey, Peter."
But every time they talk, and they did a lot, and it was different characters. Which I didn't even know who the other lady was.
She was just like the one of the other. What are they called? I can't remember.
Dormelage.
Yeah, Dormelage.
Yeah.
She was the one in the beginning. She had the two daggers in the beginning.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying.
I feel there's a lot of words that to describe things that you guys like. What?
Dormelage.
What were they called?
Yeah.
The movie also didn't have enough M'Baku.
Yeah, he's really good.
He was barely in it, and he was definitely a highlight of the first one.
Yeah, he did a really good, I liked him in this one. Like what he had to work with, he did really good, and it seems like they're setting him up to be the king of Wakanda.
Sounds
that's
like
kind of how it left off with him, kind of being or challenging for the throne.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a really good moment with Shuri that I thought was good, where he's talking about like, I promised your brother that I would guide you, kind of a thing. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, he definitely didn't have enough to do in the movie.
Yeah.
I like give him more and cut out Ross and the other stuff.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think you have a better, more grounded, better story.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the story flowed pretty well though, despite those little spots of like kind of awkwardness and kind of like almost like dead ends almost. But I think everything else felt good. Like I didn't stop and think midway through the movie, like how long is this thing?
Yeah,
like it actually flowed pretty good.
I definitely did. I definitely
did what?
The opposite of what you did.
You did.
You
checked.
He checked.
Yeah. I think the middle-ish part of the movie to me had some pretty bad pacing issues where it was just like, this is what is happening. Like the story just kind of halted, and it really kind of took its time. Where I feel like it could have jumped around a little bit more. And the movie's long; it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have an issue. I think there was like, I don't want to say pacing issues. There was some like towards the end. I think they just rushed a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the section you're talking about is when they take her to
Not Atlantis.
Yeah, not Atlantis. What Talokal or something like that. And I actually really liked that. It was definitely slow, but I liked what they were doing with it, like setting up Namor's people and that kind of stuff. Like I didn't really have a problem with it. But yeah, I could see how.
Yeah,
would be like,
I mean, that type of stuff is necessary. I think the way they did it was, to me, just really kind of drawn out. But,
yeah, I think it is all justified, 100%, because you have to, because of the redemption at the end, you have to understand where they came from.
Yeah.
And you have to see the human side of them. And so that investment in that time, whether or not it was super efficient in storytelling and doing that better, this still was necessary. So
yeah.
I think for me,
I just wish it would have been a little bit shorter. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else about the movie?
I mean, post-credit scene.
Yeah, the end was really good in my opinion. I actually really liked the reveal and her moment on the beach.
Yeah, that was good.
Kind of that reveal of, oh gosh, what is her name? Nikita? Nikita? T'Challa's GF, basically, or whatever. I think it's Nikira or Nikita. I think it's Nikita. I think it's Nikita. That moment was actually cool. I actually loved it.
Yeah,
that was super cool. So basically Shuri, she was like, hey, you can, anytime you want to come to Haiti, come and hang out with me. And she went over there and kind of hung out and had that moment with her mom.
Nakia.
Nakia.
Nice.
Nokia.
Nakia.
I was closest.
You were.
Point me. But yeah, and then did you guys stay for the bonus Jonas? Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
Bonus Jonas?
I thought it was cool. Dude, there was a guy behind us. Blew his mind. He's like, shut the front door. Wow.
It was the Luke, I'm your father moment for him.
It's like
life.
It's like he never understood that people could have children. And I was like, what? That's impossible. Because the reveal is like a little boy comes out and she's like, oh, I want you to meet Toussaint. And then they like are talking and then she's like, oh, his real name is T'Challa. And he's like, Mom,
and it's
T'Challa.
It's Maz Kanata's daughter?
Yeah.
Son?
Yeah.
Little orange.
So it's the reveal that, T'Challa has a son with What did we say?
Nakia.
Nakia. So I mean, it was a cool moment. I don't think it was mind blowing like the guy thought behind us, but it was pretty cool.
Maybe I just missed something. I mean,
to be honest, compared to all of the other post credit scenes that we've gotten in the past, like, I mean, most Marvel ones, to be honest, it's like it wasn't just a pointless setup of like.
I mean, it really was just a continue of that.
Yeah, of that scene. So I thought it was cool, and it was like story wise, I think it made sense. So I think that's better than being like someone showing up, be like, "We gotta go right now because Beeble Bobble's gonna come get us," and then it's like Beeble Bobble will return, and you know what I mean. And so it's like, okay, it's better than like some of the other things we said.
Beeble Bobble the new Thanos?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
we're building to it.
I'm just trying to think of like better post scene credits that in the past like 3 years.
Yeah, I know that, and that's it. It's like
this made sense.
Yeah.
It added to it, and it was like simple.
Yeah,
and I loved it because it played into the remembrance, you know, of Black Panther, and so I thought it fit really well.
Yeah.
I really liked it, and I think it added to the movie.
right. And it didn't.
And it wasn't like, oh my gosh, if you didn't watch that, you missed out on the whole like
right.
the next movie's
Black
thing.
Panther 3, when that kid shows up, people are going to be like,
Who's that
where
kid?
is he?
Yeah.
When they introduced this guy? Was there not another one? Was it just one?
It was
that was
just,
it.
I mean, but it's technically like a mid-credits.
Yeah,
but,
mid.
Yeah.
But it was cool because it adds to Nakia's reason why she hasn't been around.
Yep.
She removed herself from the situation and got banished from there, and has been raising a kid. So I don't know. It was cool. I like that. That story beat is cool.
Yeah, it definitely really worked for me. And again, it just all tied back to how they dealt with, you know, moving along, but honoring Chadwick Boseman. So yeah, it was really well done.
Do you guys want to rank it? Give your rating for it?
Go for it.
I'll give it 7.9 just based on your discussion.
Okay.
7.9.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I'm giving
That's
it.
the highest
Based on what
Marvel
you guys are
score you've
saying.
ever given.
When I watch it, I'll let you know
How much lower it is.
What
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah.
is. I like the first one, so I do want to watch this one, but we'll see.
I'll give it 7.5 Namor ankle wings.
-1 because she ripped one off.
Yeah.
That was
She
crazy.
did rip one off. It was kind of cool.
Oh, another spoiler.
Yeah.
You missed it. So
Dang it.
7.7.
7.7.
What about you?
What did you say?
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 7.6. I'm pretty right around there. 7.6 blue underwater people.
Which we don't. Yeah.
Smurfs.
Yeah. I'm probably around there somewhere. Probably like 7.7 ish. Did you guys say that yet? No.
No,
My
we're
highest?
good. There we
Your
go.
highest? It might
I'm the
have to do
highest.
with maybe I just wasn't watching the best like version of the movie.
We won't talk about
It
that.
might be lower
Your
or
glasses
higher.
were foggy in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the
But yeah,
tears.
I enjoyed it still, and honestly, I've had movies that I don't evoke any emotion at all, and this one evoked a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
So honestly, 7.8.
Nice. There you go.
To be a little bit more honest with myself. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was good.
I mean, all the performances are really good.
Yeah.
I think especially Shuri does a great job of
Oh,
acting.
absolutely.
She does a really good job, and then the Queen is also really good.
Yeah.
That's one of my. I'm glad to hear that she has such a big role because one of my. I mean, this goes outside of Marvel, but like during the COVID era time, people were saying she should get fired. They should recast her because she didn't want
Issues
to
on
get
set,
vaccinated
yeah.
and stuff like that. And so that to me was like, why? Like if it's a choice. So I'm glad that they, especially I watched an interview with her and she was talking about her relationship with Chadwick. And I'm like, yeah, like you have to keep her in there. And I'm glad that they gave her such a, like, from what I'm hearing from
She's
you guys
big.
is
She's
she
big.
does a big role because it would have been really easy to kind of cave into all that and be like, oh yeah, let's recast her. But I'm like, if you have someone else in there, it doesn't land like you were saying emotionally because she actually had a relationship with him. And you watch some of the interviews with her and it's just like really emotional to see like how because she talked about that stuff with him, and so it's just kind of like, I don't know that. So that's why I'm
she
glad
was
to
easily
hear that.
the heart of this movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I will say, like, that's one of those things about this movie that's like so hard, is that it's like they already had a script, and then Chadwick Boseman passes away, so you have to go through and change things, figure out what you want to do, and then plus, like, you have all these actors that have this personal connection with a coworker, a friend. Ryan Coogler is like a collaborator with him, like a friend of his. So it's like for the director Ryan Coogler to have to write and direct a movie about, you know, Chadwick Boseman passing, I can't imagine how difficult that was. Yeah. So I think they struck a really good balance.
Yeah, I think they really did the best that they could with the situation that they were in.
Well, and you kind of like teeter on this fine line of like being almost disrespectful or not respectful enough, and I felt like they hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
It was very honoring, and it was very very good. But yeah,
awesome,
cool,
nice. That was Wakanda Forever, guys, and I guess we'll see. She'll probably have another movie, right, Shuri, or no? Have they announced?
I don't know. They haven't announced a Black Panther 3 yet, so
said Black Panther will be back.
Yeah, they said that at the end. Right?
Yeah.
So whatever that means in some aspect, we'll see her again. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like, comment, everything, and we'd love to interact with you guys online. And we'll see you guys in the next one.